Okay, Ambassador Moin or Haque, great to see you again. Let's talk about the security situation in Afghanistan. The US troops completely withdrew on August the 31st. What is Pakistan's position towards the Taliban takeover?
We are relieved that this takeover by Taliban of Kabul happened without any bloodshed, without any violence, or a civil war which was being predicted earlier. We would have hoped that the withdrawal of the US troops could have been more responsible and orderly and have been synchronized with the political process and the peace talks that have been going on. Unfortunately, that has not happened. Pakistan's position is very clear. From all along, we have been saying that there is no military solution to the Afghan conflict. Our Prime Minister Imran Khan has said that multiple times. There is only a political process, a political settlement that has to be Afghan-led and Afghan-owned. We are the direct beneficiary of peace and stability in Afghanistan. We have suffered a lot because of this 2 decades or rather 4 decades of conflict in Afghanistan. So Pakistan's desire peaceful settlement of this long-drawn conflict, and we hope that all parties, people of Afghanistan and the people and the political factions in Afghanistan will take this historic opportunity to course a future, a chart of future for them.
Will Pakistan recognize the new Taliban government?
It is very premature to say at this stage, as I said, that we are waiting for the formation of the government, what the contours it will be, and on that basis, we will like to coordinate our position with our regional partners, especially China and other neighboring countries. And we hope that we'll be able to build a regional consensus for the recognition of a future Afghan government.
Not everyone in the West understands this or fully appreciates this, but Pakistan suffered more casualties than most, if not all countries, since the so-called war on terror began 20 years ago. And Pakistan and Afghanistan shares a long border, over 2,000 kilometers. And according to the United Nations, as many as 500,000 people could flee Afghanistan in the future, and many of them will head to Pakistan. Help us understand the security stakes for Afghanistan and and how may Pakistan deal with the influx of refugees?
We are really disappointed by again this kind of narrative that is coming out from some of the countries to scapegoat Pakistan, to blame Pakistan. You can't blame the victim. Pakistan has been victim of this 4 decades of instability and conflict in our region in Afghanistan. And Pakistan, as you mentioned, the refugee issue, Pakistan has been the largest refugee hosting nation in the world. After the first Afghan World War, war in the 90s, the 80s and the 90s, Pakistan had hosted close to 5 million at one point Afghan refugees. Still, today we have 3 million Afghan refugees in our country, which we have provided. Of course, we have welcomed them. We have opened our hearts and homes for our Afghan brothers and sisters. We have provided them shelter. We have provided them food, education, health, their livelihoods. They're still there. So far, I think in my view, there is no need for any panic because there is a situation in Kabul and other parts of the country remain relatively calm. We would like the Afghan people that to be in their country, to be part of a nation-building process. Many of the Afghan nationals who are experts, who are engineers, who are would be required to run the government, to run different companies and institutions. And we do also hope that in future there would be a period that refugees in Pakistan and elsewhere could return to Afghanistan with dignity and respect.
Mr. Ambassador, there's also a narrative in the West saying that Pakistan is somehow happy to see the Taliban take over because they claim that the Pakistani military has been somehow nurturing the Afghan Taliban for like decades. And what do you think of that narrative?
I think This narrative, as I mentioned earlier, people should stop blaming Pakistan for what is happening in Afghanistan. Pakistan has been a victim, as I mentioned earlier. We have suffered close to 70,000 lives of Pakistani nationals, including our security nationals, in this war of terror. This was not our war. We were sucked into this. And so now to blame Pakistan for this is very unfortunate. We would like the international community to understand, to learn from its past mistakes, because if you don't learn, draw lessons, then there is always a high cost to pay. But I hope that our international community would recognize that, will remain engaged with the new government in Kabul, will help the people of Afghanistan for their reconstruction and economic development, and not repeat the past mistakes.
What do you think are the common interests between China and Pakistan, and what can China and Pakistan do together to coordinate their policies regarding the future of Afghanistan and the security future?
As a neighbor of Afghanistan, of course, the interests of both China and Pakistan converge. We have similar views about the future of Afghanistan, peace and stability in Afghanistan, the economic future of Afghanistan and its people, the rebuilding and reconstruction of Afghanistan. Recently in Chengdu, our two foreign ministers had the session, third session of the strategic dialogue, where the issue of Afghanistan was very discussed in detail. Of course, it was last month. At that time, these developments have not taken place. But at that time also, we had given a very strong message that the two countries would like peace and stability of Afghanistan, and a government which takes into account the interest of all ethnic groups in Afghanistan. Moving forward, the two countries can help in the reconstruction of Afghanistan. As you know, that we have also agreed that China-Pakistan economic corridor could be extended to Afghanistan.
Do you think the Taliban would welcome that gesture to extend CPAC into Afghanistan?
Definitely. I think they have already given statements in welcoming the role of China for the future development of Afghanistan, and they've also, of course, welcomed Pakistan's role in this process. So we clearly see that any future government in Kabul would like to have engagement with its neighbors, with international community, and especially Pakistan and China, for its economic needs and its development.